Well, good day and welcome. I'm Brad Sugars, the chairman and founder of ActionCOACH, and it's my pleasure to be with you here today. Just a little bit more of a background on myself and ActionCOACH. In the franchising space, I've owned multiple franchise companies. ActionCOACH is obviously the most well known, now being ranked in the top 30 global franchises in the world. Because as an organization, we have offices in 83 countries around the world. It keeps us very busy. So what led to the success of ActionCOACH and what actually brought us to that space? Well, I want to start with, obviously thinking about our organization as more than just a franchise. But that being said, franchising really is a different business to any business that you're in. You may have a coffee shop franchise, you may have a cleaning service franchise, which I also happen to own as well. You may have a business coaching franchise. You may have a franchise in any particular thing, but you're not in that business. You're not in the coffee business or the cleaning business. You're in the franchise business. The franchise business is altogether different from any other business that is out there in the marketplace. To be successful in the franchise business, you've got to do things in an entirely different way because your franchise partners are exactly that. They're your partners out there in the business. And, well, they can't just be told what to do. You need to encourage them, enthuse them, get them motivated, turn the tide, get them doing the things that you want. But it's not just like an employee-employer relationship. So being a franchise owner, being a franchise master is something very different than what most business owners will go through. And so today we're going to look at the 7 secrets to igniting your franchise and turning it into something that can, well, rank on that global list. I love franchising. I think it's one of the best models of business out there in the marketplace. A model of business that allows us to bring together the systematic methodologies, the brand, and the people. The people with capital, the people with knowledge and skills join us to open our business in different markets around the world. They don't buy the whole business. They buy a small segment of the business. They buy their territory, their area, their size, their site. Whatever it is they're buying, they are our partners. And our partners in our franchise partners, are the people that build our business. And so, as we go to become successful, I want to recognize the fact that one of the major reasons ActionCOACH is successful is because of the people on our team. The organization we've had the privilege to build, I guess, the team of people I have the privilege to lead is a big part of the success of my company. So that leads me to the first point of my 7 secrets to igniting a franchise. Number 1 is that franchising is 80% relationship and 20% systems. I've seen it taught the other way around, where some people seem to think that franchising is all about the systems. No, franchising is not all about the systems. Franchising, yes, it has to have great systems. Yes, it has to have great technology. Yes, it has to have great methodologies of serving the customer and doing business with the customer. But ultimately, the franchise business, not the coffee shop, not the cleaning business, not the business coaching, the franchise business, the business I'm in, it has to have mostly a focus on relationships. Build relationships with my franchise partners, build an ability to communicate with them, an ability to work with them. So what are some of the key ways that we do that here at ActionCOACH? First and foremost, we use a lot of technology. Video, just like this, video conferencing, chatting with people, getting on calls, webinars, seminars. Prior to that, back in the old day, we made CDs, we did USBs, we put video on whatever format we could and we got it to people. We did audio on whatever format we could and got it to people. But the level of communication in a franchise needs to be very high. See, a great relationship has great communication, two-way communication. We listen to our franchise partners. We ask their opinion. In fact, in our organization, the vast majority of research and development is done by our frontline franchise partners in concert with our head office, of course, and under approval and under systematic methodologies. But our innovation is done at that level. So we communicate two ways to build that relationship. We also have events. We do a lot of events to make sure that there is relationship. That time having a meal together, that time having a coffee together, that time at the bar at the end of the day together. Those sorts of things are very big parts of that building of a relationship. Hiring great people is part of building a great relationship. For me at my head office, obviously I can't speak to all of our franchise partners. With more than 1,000 franchise partners on every time zone in the world, I can't possibly speak with every one of them. But my team can. My team can work through with them. My master franchisees, my team of executives, they can work with the people and build relationships. The relationships happen one person at a time, and that's why it's very important to maintain a good, solid executive team. Maintain those people, keep them in your organization so that those relationships do last and those relationships do stand the test of time. I know for me, having many of my executive team have been with me 15, 20 years, 10 more, 25 years in some cases. Why? Because having people around that long builds great relationships. Building relationships is what's the key to igniting any franchise. If I want a franchise partner to take on another territory, if I want a franchise partner to invest and buy another franchise, it's not because they made money that they're going to buy the next one. It's because we have a relationship. Yes, they need to make money. Yes, they need to be good financially. But they need to work with me as their partner. They need to trust me as their partner. They need to know that they have a partnership in this organization, not a company that tells them you must do this and you must do that, otherwise you'll lose your franchise. In this day and age, a real partnership is what is needed. And that's why I say point number one is that 80% of the success or 80% of any franchise success comes down to building relationships with your franchise partners. You get referrals from them. You get repeat business from them. They buy more territories. They recommend their friends to buy territories. That is what part of building an ignited franchise is all about. Second one kind of goes along those lines, but it takes it a step further. If you want to build a great franchise, you need to build your people. You need to build your franchise partners. You need to build your executives. You need to build the staff in those organizations. So your training program, your mentoring program, your education program, your recruiting, your hiring, your induction program, all of these things impact the way you build the people in your company. The vision, the culture, all of these things impact the way you build the organization, the human capital of an organization. Any great business is built on great people. Yes, you need great systems. Yes, you need all of those great products and services. But an exponential business doesn't grow just by great systems. We've seen many businesses with great systems that failed. We've seen many businesses with great products that failed, great services, great offerings for their customer base that failed, because they didn't take into account that you have to build your people. I'll tell you a quick story of where I really learned this. I think I was 20 or 21 years of age, and I went to my dad, and my dad was pretty successful in business. And I said to him, you know what, Dad? I just can't get good people. I don't know what it is, but I can't find good people. And my dad looked me dead in the eye and he said, you know what, son? You get the people you deserve. You're an average manager running an average business. The highest caliber of employee that's going to want to join your team is average. Now, my dad said it very bluntly, of course, but what he meant was very clearly true. That unless you're running a great business, unless you are a great leader, great people don't want to join your team. The best of the best people want to join an organization. They want to join a team where great things are happening. They want to join the best people. Franchise partners don't just join a company. Franchise partners join a leadership team. They join an organization. They join a group of people. And that's why, for me, that first phase of building great relationships is so important. When I sit and I get emails from some of my franchise partners who've been with me more than 20 years, they've been around for a long time. And when they're asked, should I join this franchise, and they explain their experience of 20 years of learning, 20 years of growth, the amount of time, energy, and effort we put into training our franchise partners and helping them train their staff, giving them knowledge, weekly events, consistent training, bringing in outside trainers to train our people. We recently had a trainer on LinkedIn. We recently had a trainer on Facebook that they give this knowledge. We pay them to give the knowledge to all of our franchise partners out there in the world. We give them the knowledge so that they can run a better business, so they can build a better business for us. We keep growing the knowledge base of our organization. We coach our franchise partners. We have a systematic methodology of knowing where they're at on their performance and who needs help and who doesn't need help. And so when you think about growing your people and you think about growing your business, they are in synergy. If you build your people, you build their productivity. If you teach your people leadership, they get better at it. You teach them management, they get better at it. Whatever you educate your people. It's why I guess so many great franchise companies call us at Action Coach and have us come in and actually work with their franchise partners and educate their franchise partners. See, one of the biggest challenges in franchising is a lot of the people that buy a franchise off of you or get an awarded a franchise from you or from me, it's their first business they've ever owned. They're not really good business people. They might be okay at following our systems, but you've got to build a great business person. You want someone to own multiple franchise territories. You want someone to own multiple offices or multiple stores. You've got to build that person into a great business person, a leader, a manager, a person that will lead a team to do great things. The more you build them, the more they build your business for you. And so we put all of that time, energy, and effort in. We interview our best franchise partners and make those interviews available to all of our franchise partners in the world. We do it time and time again. We have quarterly conferences, annual conferences, and we get speakers from external to our business, but we also get our best franchise partners to speak and teach what they're doing, how they're doing it, and the ways they succeed. These sorts of things, this immense level of training is a big part of why franchisees stay. You know, many, many years ago, I sat at a franchise conference and was asked to speak. But the gentleman speaking in front of me, he had about 3,000 franchise partners in his organization. And so I sat and I took notes. Even though I was speaking later, I thought, this is a person I should be listening to. And he said one thing to me that really stood out. He said, yes, you can write a franchise agreement, a legal agreement that will make people stay, but that's never going to actually make people stay. They'll leave, they'll find a way out, even if it is just to leave. You want to build a franchise where people want to stay. You want to build a franchise where people value what they get from the organization. And one thing I know of all franchisees in the world, they're business owners. They're looking to learn, they're looking to grow, they want to learn, they want to grow. So the more knowledge I give to my franchise partners, the more education I give to my franchise partners, the more they want to stay a part of our organization. They love the learning and they love the growth from that. That leads me to point number 3. Another reason why I believe people stay in a franchise. You know, getting results is one thing. Making a profit is one thing. It's fantastic that our franchise partners get to make profits. They get great results in their business and so on. But the training is a major reason they stay. And another one, point number 3 of our 7 secrets to igniting a franchise, they stay because of the community. They stay because of their brethren, the people they went through training with, the people that own the franchise not far from them, the people that own the territory next door. When you build a community of business owners, when you build a community of franchise partners, and they all believe in the same thing you do, because they joined because of your vision, they joined because of your culture, they joined because of the industry, they joined because they knew that for them and their family, this would be a future for them and a future for their family. So you build that community of people, you bring them together. They're not just colleagues anymore, they're friends. They're not just friends anymore, they're family to each other. When I see my franchise partners going to birthday parties of my other franchise partners on their social media, their Facebook or their Instagram, when I watch one of my franchise partners have a wedding and there are other franchisees at that wedding, you know, when I see their kids graduating from college and their friends and their comments are other franchise partners in my organization, I know I'm building a community that is second to none. I know I'm building a community of like-minded, wonderful people who get along famously and become friends and family over their lifetime. And it's not just a local group. We make sure that our community is global. We make sure that our franchise partners from Australia are in communication with our franchise partners from England, from China, from India, from here in America. We communicate across the world. We get our best franchisee in Australia to communicate to our franchise partners in Vietnam. We take all of this into account when we're building community and making sure that people become friends. They share meals together, they share drinks together, they share life together. We connect them on social media through social media groups. We connect them on WhatsApp through WhatsApp chats. And by doing this, the community level of building allows us to achieve the first two as well. Because relationships isn't just about relationships from the corporate office to the master franchisee to the franchisee. It's not that. It's franchisee to franchisee. It's master franchisee to master franchisee. Those relationships are part of the glue that holds an organization together. When you build community, it allows your community to build your people for you. See, if it was up to me to help every single franchise partner in the world, I would need a massive, massive level of organization. But if I allow my franchise partners in the community to assist each other, I allow my franchise partners methodologies and means of communication with each other, I allow them to build each other's business. I get them to help each other in the growth factor of the organization. If you think about a great community is one that not only has relationships and not only one that has people helping people, but a great community has things in common. A great community has other things outside of work in common. It has family in common, it has friends, it has trips in common. We do a lot of trips for our groups. We take conferences where we travel to places and people get to go and see things. And when we took our group to Africa, our top 200 franchise partners in the world came to Africa. And hey, the relationships, the skills, the commonality factor. What do you think happens? Because those conferences for us are every August. Every August on every single franchisee's page on Facebook comes up the year before. It comes up with that trip they did to Africa or the trip we did to China or the trip we did to wherever it was. We give people things in common that keep them in community and keep them in touch with each other. That's a big part of making sure. Also, though, we add more to that. Not only do we give them that in common, we also built our foundation. The Action Coach Foundation has two main programs. One, educating young entrepreneurs, our Young Entrepreneur Smart Start. By the way, if you have any young children that want to go through and learn to be an entrepreneur, please connect with our team. We'd more than be happy to help them learn to be an entrepreneur through our foundation. We also have our Coaching for a Cause program where we coach and educate not-for-profits, charitable organizations. Our coaches all across the world do that. And by doing these programs, we have more in common with people than you can imagine. So we allow our people multiple things in common. Finally, we build sub-communities in amongst it. Not only are there regional communities, for instance, the coaches and franchise partners in Texas have their own Texas community, WhatsApp chats and group chats and Facebook groups. But also we build sub-communities that are interested in different things. Those who are interested in fitness are in the sub-community on fitness. Those who are interested in motor cars and motorbikes are in that subgroup. The golfing group, whenever we go on trips, there's the group that golf. There's the group that ride motorbikes. Whenever we go anywhere, they all go and rent motorbikes and travel around together. So you start to think of the way you build community as a whole, but then you start to break it down into the sub-communities, into the smaller groups, not just territories, but in interests, in areas, in things they have in common. And that's a way we build not only a massive community, but also smaller communities. And we encourage them to also do as much community building as they want and as they need. So, final part of community building is getting leadership in your organization. An organization that doesn't have franchise leadership that you work on will end up appointing its own franchise leadership. And you guessed it, it'll be the loudest voice in the room. It won't be the people that are doing the best. It'll probably be the people that are doing the worst, because they will be the loudest voice in the room. So you, as a leader of your organization, need to make sure that you hold up and exemplify the great leaders in your organization and keep them leading by giving them official positions, official titles. For us, we have master coaches. We have representatives of our coaching organization and our franchise organization that are appointed as leaders. They graduate, they qualify to be appointed as leaders of the organization. And by doing that, by helping lead the organization forward, we get such great results because they are the loudest voice in the community. Keep that in mind as you go to build community. Build leaders within your organization. Build franchise partners into leaders of the whole company, not just their own practice or their own operation. Point number 4, and this one is a very, very important and very, very powerful part of igniting a franchise to success. And that is measurement and accountability. When any great organization doesn't measure, when any great organization forgets to hold people accountable, it very quickly stops being a great organization. Any great organization that wants success has to have accountability. It's one of the reasons our business of Action Coach exists, is that we work with business owners to hold them accountable to do the things that they know they should be doing. You know, a very large business has an advantage over a small business. It has a board of directors, it has shareholders. And that board of directors and those shareholders, very simply put, they hold that organization accountable to a massive level of growth. They hold that organization accountable to profitability. So for us as coaches, we do that with business owners on a day-to-day basis. But for you as a franchisor, how you measure your franchise partners, how you measure the performance of your people, and how you then hold them accountable for that is very important. We like to think that we've done a pretty good job of accountability on a human level, but also on a systematic methodology level. You see, on a human level, you can have a coach that works with people that can hold them accountable to the tasks that they've mentioned. You can hold them accountable to those things from a human to a human. People don't like letting down other people. But on a systematic methodology, there must be a level of measurement. If there isn't a level of measurement, then there won't be actual accountability. Now, here's the challenge with that. If you're going to have a level of measurement, what are you going to measure? Where are you going to measure? What are the activities, or what are the results, or what are the key performance indicators or goals that you're going to need measurement on? Now, for me, I sit back and look at this and think there's never a perfect set of measures. There never will be in any organization. But there are all measures that lead to certain roads. So wherever I want to see an increased performance, I need something measured. Wherever I want to see a better result, I need something measured. If I want to hold someone accountable to doing the results then I need measure. It's in the word, able. So you're able to count what the result is. If you're able to count the result, you're able to hold people accountable to it. Where there is a lack of performance in any organization, I first look at what are they measuring. If there is no measure, it's fairly simple to see why there is a lack of performance. Now, once we start measuring, there's either a lack of performance because there's a lack of training, or the person just doesn't have the will to do it. Or you don't have anyone actually in that position doing the job. You know, I was working with a franchise group the other day about their international expansion, and they said, yeah, our international expansion is fairly slow. I said to them, well, who's in charge of that? Well, we all are. No, it doesn't work that way. Unless you have a, manager of international expansion, or a VP of international expansion, or a president of international expansion, you are not going to have international expansion. Unless there is a person whose job it is to do that, unless there is a person who you can hold accountable to get that job done, to write the plan and execute the plan, it will not happen. So time and time again, where I see a lack of results, I see a lack of resources. It could be a lack of a person. It could be a lack of the qualified person. It could be a lack of measurement and management of that actual person. So we need to be sure that we have accountability, which means we must have measures in our organization. And we need to build that right through from your executive team to any master franchisees or country franchise partners, right down to the lowest level of any organization that you have, to the smallest employee in the organization. There must be a level of measure for there to be results. You cannot manage what you do not measure is possibly the oldest management axiom that there is, but it's still very true today. While I'm on that, management for me, see, leadership is about people. Management is also about people, but it's done differently. Management is really about two things. Management is about building competent, productive humans. Competent people and productive people. If there is a lack of competency, there's a lack of management, or bad management, in fact, or no management whatsoever. If there is a lack of productivity, again, it's a lack of management that is leading to the lack of productivity. As a manager, my job is to build that person, to build competency, to train them, mentor them, coach them, hold their hand, educate them to do a great job. My management job is to measure them, manage that person, make sure they are accountable to achieving the results that they need to achieve. Now, leadership, on the other hand, is also two things. It's about passionate, focused people. I want to build passionate people and focused people. That's a leader's job. A manager's job is day to day, hour to hour, week to week, month to month. A leader's job of passion and focus is week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year. A manager is very focused on the now. A leader is very focused on where we're going and what the future looks like, the vision, the goals, etc. These are the two differences that I see out there in the marketplace. 7 secrets to igniting a franchise, number 5. Number 5 for me is a system for launching a new franchise. Not opening a new franchise, not starting a new franchise, not awarding a new franchise, but launching a new franchise. The marketing and sales to launch a franchise. On day what will that franchise be possible? It's no longer good enough to have a franchise that runs for 12 months losing money when you could be making money from day one. The pre-launch process, the signing up of new clients, members, the making of sales before you even open the business is a massive part of the success of any business that's out there. If you want to launch a franchise, if you want to ignite your entire organization, then a new franchise must launch to profitability in a very short space of time. They must launch and get those sales happening immediately. It must be a fanfare, a party. It must be something that gets them making money very fast. Too many franchise organizations allow the franchise to open up and gradually get to a success point. No, we don't want that. We want a launch. We want to open it and on day one have it profitable if possible. Obviously, it's not always going to be day one, but you need to be thinking about how you launch these things, not just open them up. Shoot that franchise to the moon and do it well. Now, for us, we look at that in multiple different ways. A launch is not only a launch of the marketing and sales, it's a launch of the training. There has to be a pre-training. Before opening, you have to train those people to be able to open. You have to train them in the launch system, train them in the launch process. So when they open the franchise on day one, they've already made sales. They've already got people signed up. They've already got revenue in there. And if that means bringing in a launch team to help them launch the franchise on day one, then do that. Bring in the launch team or the launch manager or the launch person that gets it flying from day one. That's what we need to be looking for time and time and time again. Open a franchise to great profitability very quickly, very soon, and people will want to buy more and more and more of your franchise. Number 6 to igniting a franchise. I'm going to go a little more esoteric here, and that is this. Think global. It is no more difficult. In fact, I'll say it a different way. It is just as easy to open a franchise in another country as it is to open one on the other side of your country. Too many business people see it as hard to open a franchise internationally. Yes, there's a little bit of learning to be done, and yes, you need to find the right partners or the right employees in that marketplace. But if I'm looking for an employee in the Philippines, or I'm looking for an employee in Japan, or I'm looking for an employee in Namibia, or I'm looking for an employee in Chile or in Texas, it's still the same process of finding the right person to open my business for me in those markets, to start to market the franchise, to start to sell the franchise. Marketing your franchise in Finland is approximately the same as marketing your franchise in Singapore. What you've got to do is you've got to find the franchise portals where you advertise the franchise for sale, the magazines where the franchises are for sale. You've got to find the expos where the franchises are for sale. You've got to do it the same no matter where it is. You want to speak to the local franchise association. You want to speak to 2 or 3 franchise attorneys in that marketplace. You want to speak to 2 or 3 franchise accountants in that marketplace. You want to speak to 2 or 3 franchise consultants in that marketplace. You want to speak to 2 or 3 franchise brokerage firms in that marketplace. You know what I mean? It's not actually much more complex to open a business in a foreign country than it is to open it locally. Now, yes, will you need to speak a language that everyone can communicate in together? Yes, and yes, most probably that'll be an English language for the vast majority of the world where there's English and another language. And that's not me, that's just the way it is. So, for example, for us to open in Germany, it didn't take us doing a massive amount of work. We didn't have to translate all of our material before we opened in Germany. What we had to do is look for and find great partners in Germany who would work with us to do that. Now, ultimately, every one of us that thinks globally needs to think. Now, I'm going to give you a simple reality check here just for a second. You need to create a formulaic methodology for pricing your franchise in all different markets, taking into account GDP, taking into account currencies, taking into account populations, and so on and so forth. All of these aspects need to be worked out and thought through in complete detail. But when we go and open into a new marketplace, it's not much more complex to open a new country than it is to open a new franchise just down the road. Thinking global is a very big part of the success of our company. Always be looking for us, our goal is to open a new country every quarter. 4 new countries a year is always been the goal for our organization, to keep growing where we keep opening and keep opening and keep opening. Now, of course, we measure our internals as well, and of course we measure annual store on store, and of course we measure our spread and our all of those things. But on a top level, thinking global is a big part of franchising success. Always be looking for concepts that you can take global. That, to me, is important. And finally, point number 7 of our 7 secrets to igniting your franchise, recognition. There is no more powerful thing than recognition out there to build a great team and to build a great organization. Recognition, yes, at your corporate level. Recognition, yes, at the master franchise level. But recognition at your franchise level is of vital importance. I would prefer, and I see some franchises where they give out 1 award a year, the franchisee of the year. I think that is crazy to give out 1 award a year. If you can find 20 different categories of awards, then give 20 categories of awards. The more awards you give, the more proud your franchise partners feel about representing your brand. The more they feel pride in representing the brand, the longer they will stay, the better they will be as franchise partners, and the more they'll feel a part of the organization, a part of the team. Building a great team, a massive part of that is recognition. So I'll give you some examples of what we do and how we do it. Not only do we do annual recognitions, we also break it down into quarterly recognitions. You don't have to wait to the end of the year to give awards, plaques, recognitions, certificates to people. When they graduate a certain level to the next level, we keep doing it. Annual pins to see how long they've been with us. We keep doing these things. our culture statement. If you want to find our culture statement, jump on actioncoach.com and read our 14 points of culture. And you'll get to see how each one of these has another badge that we can award to our franchise partners. Badges cost very, very little, but they're perceived very, very well out there in the marketplace. Every time you give awards, people feel proud of your brand. Every time you give recognition, people feel important in your organization. The more awards you give, the more pride people will feel in your organization. So then we take a look at it from different product cycles or product samples in our organization. So we have different programs, and we'll have award winners for different programs. We have different regions. We'll have award winners for different regions. The winner for Scotland will be different from the winner from Wales, will be different from the winner from Chile. But it's the same award done in multiple locations all around the world. Not only that, we then give awards to our clients. Our customers get awards where their franchise partner feels very happy because their customers are getting recognition. That's the way we do it. You see, making money is one part of a franchise. Becoming part of a community is a big part of a franchise. The training and learning and growth you get is a big part of a franchise. But being recognized, there's something about that at the core of every human being that means they want to do better. When you recognize great results, those people want to do more, do better, achieve more, achieve better. That to me is a big reason why we've had success we've had here at ActionCOACH. We recognize great people for doing a wonderful job, and we recognize our franchise partners. And even that terminology of calling them a franchise partner is something that's different to what a lot of organizations do. Ultimately, if you want to ignite a franchise to success, you got to become great at the franchise business, not at the coffee shop or not at the business coaching or the cleaning, but at the franchise business. How to recruit and award franchisees. How to make sure that they start up and launch well, how to make sure they become a part of the community and join the community and feel welcome and feel a part of it, how to train them so they continually grow, and how to make sure that those people are with you long term so that that relationship becomes something that they feel very powerful about. Ultimately, we don't have all of the greatest secrets to franchising, but we do have a few of them. After 28 years in this business, and now operating in more than 80 countries and having franchise partners in so many languages and so many cultures and so many religions and so many political spectrums and so many different ways of doing life, we feel that the franchise business is something that brings those people together rather than pushes them apart. A great franchise will bring people together. A great franchise is something where you build an amazing team that build an amazing business. I hope that you go on to ignite your franchise. I hope that you go on to make your franchise into everything that you want it to be and build the team that can do that with you. If you haven't had a chance, my book, Successful Franchising, is there. I've written 17 books on the subject. Or jump on and follow me on any social media platform or head to bradsugars.com. If you want to learn about Action Coach, actioncoach.com is the place to go. Or again, any of the social media platforms, you'll find us out there in the marketplace. Thank you to the team for bringing me here today. I really appreciate being able to share with you some of our knowledge and some of the things we do here at Action Coach that help us grow our franchise into an award winner worldwide. Take care. Bye for now. I'm Brad Sugars, the chairman and founder here at Action Coach, and it's great to have been with you today.